reading a little preamble.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I am so excited and energized to be here with one of my favorite people on the whole planet, Khafre J. Welcome to the February 1st kickoff of Black History Month special edition of Collect Our Cousins. I created Collect Our Cousins, engaging white Americans in the struggle for full democracy to help white Americans like me become more effective in our conversations with white people in our lives, to help us build an embodied anti racist white culture. I'm featuring the people who inspire and teach me the most, like Khafre, so you can learn from them as well. White Americans, the battle for our democracy will not be won in courtrooms or in the streets. It must be won in white living rooms, at our dinner tables, at our PTA meetings, at our neighborhood meetings, boardrooms. As an anti racist, collecting my cousins often falls to the last on my to do list. But if you're watching today, I want to urge you to join me in the Collect Our Cousins challenge. Write a list of your friends and family you will collect this year. The 21 million Americans who believe that Donald Trump is the legit president and believe that violence may even be necessary are our cousins, white people. We need to collect them. And I want us to, the only way we can collect them is if we treat them with empathy and love, right? We have to learn how to relate with them, even though we disagree with them. And when I speak those words, one of the people who comes to mind the most is Khafre J. And I am going to dedicate this day on loving on you, Khafre J. I love you so much. I admire you. I have seen you. I mean, you were one of the first friends I made when I moved to the Bay Area, and I have seen you evolve and grow and mature and just blossom. I'm so proud of you and I'm so grateful for you. And yeah, this is love on Khafre J Day.
Yo, thank you so much, Karen. Thank you to your platform, but yeah, right on for being in my corner, sister. I've always appreciated that support. Because these journeys are nothing without your people. So it's important. And when you're saying that, collecting our cousins, it's really interesting because that's exactly what I do with my own people all the time.
Mm.
Your friends on Facebook, you see the things I deal with my community. It's really real. We got to get our people. We're the ones that have access, So I appreciate y'all. One joke I make all the time is this year I'm really rooting for white folks. They're my favorite football team. I hope y'all hit the Super Bowl this year, because we really need y'all to have a great year, So um, I'm rarely hopeful as a Black activist of America going whatever direction, but I'm very, very hopeful because the lexicon has been changing in white communities.
Mm.
And a lot of the white people that I interact with, they're speaking so different this year. So yeah, I'm here. We're here to do whatever we can. So thank you. Thank you for creating this platform. And thank you to everybody who is even on here trying to address the situation because we are trying to breathe. We are just trying to breathe.
Yes, and one of the things that I admire about you the most, Khafre, is that you understand that this is a cultural battle. We are battling for the culture. And I'd like for you to share a little bit about Hip Hop for Change, what your model is, because I think you are battling white supremacy both by confronting white people and getting us to have conversations about racism, disrupting our comfort, as well as by building the culture with your own people and really helping young people to develop a very positive self-image and to feel part of a long tradition. And so share with us what you do at Hip Hop for Change.
Word. Well, Hip Hop for Change. So we're the largest hip hop education 501c3 in the nation as of last year, which is it's wild to be able to say that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I've been looking from outside of myself for these last 8 years, and it's just wild what we've been able to build. But we're really just breaking down barriers between our youth, our communities, and social justice issues using hip hop as a tool. That's what hip hop is essentially. You know what I'm saying? I think that a lot of people are very removed from hip hop culture. They think hip hop is just rapping, you know. And I think people are really mentally lazy when it comes to analyzing Black representations in media in general. Right now, because white supremacy is so thoroughly solidified itself and codified itself in the economic systems of America, we're more segregated now than we've ever been. We're not wet nursing as much as we used to in our communities, for example. So we're way more segregated, and this is not a right-left issue. When I'm in the liberal streets of Berkeley, if I don't have my 3-year-old, who you'll probably hear coming in here, people grab their babies like quick. Like half of the people with babies, about 50% of them will grab their babies in some way, shape, or form as they pass me. And I've told you, I joke around, say I don't eat babies, I'm full. You know what I'm saying? Just to mess, I just want to mess them up. But I think, a lot of people, they learn about people like me from mass media representation. And not only am I a Black man, but I'm hella hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look like a hip hop dude, and hip hop is more than that. It's more than rap because I look hip hop. Hip hop is the way I dress. It's my vernacular. It's my dialect, my lexicon. It's the way I paint. It's the way I dance. You know what I'm saying? It's my rapping too. It's my community. It's our entrepreneurial styles that come along with our culture. Hip hop is so much to us in the community, and hip hop is not just a Black thing. Hip hop is also like the most diverse cultural expressive form. But in white America, they often conflate that with Blackness because Black people did create the template. So, number one, I'm trying to secondarily make sure that we have ownership in our community over what hip hop looks like, because hip hop in reality is mostly artists, educators, and activists and OGs that are positive and half women rapping about their lives, their dreams, their fears, and their hopes, and all that. And in between, we're a community. So I love to be able to control those narratives and who gets to speak. Have a community control platform to elevate the smartest of our culture. So maybe we wouldn't scare so many white folks, but I think primarily it's the fact that hip hop is an economy. You know what I'm saying? And we have so many kids that are primed and prepped to express themselves this way, and the ideas that they have access to are the confines that they dream in. And right now, 93.3% of all hip hop in the top 100 and top 200s in the last decade have been, coming through 3 corporations that get to tell our young Black, brown, and white kids what hip hop is. And that defines a lot of our kids. So they need to know that hip hop, they're going to do hip hop. We're not talking about are they going to do it or not. We're just talking about are they going to do it with people like me? Or are they going to do it with corporate media representations primarily? Because when they do it with people like me, they realize they can be a graffiti artist turned into a graphic designer that can teach other little homies how to get a job in any corporation. When they do it like me, they can realize they can use their hip hop to become educators and activists. When they look in the media, they'll have a really bad way of how to find their power as a man. And they might treat women toxically and might not even know there's more women rappers than Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. When they do it with us, they learn that women pretty much lead the way in our communities and are matriarchal. And if you come to our ciphers and talk bad about a woman, you will probably get, eaten alive on a microphone and whatnot. So I just want to make sure that our youth, Black, white, whatever, have a frictionless pathway to hip hop expression and the entrepreneurial pathways that go along with their expression without being exploited by corporate media. And in 9 years, we've raised about almost $5 million. We've employed over 1,000 people in the Bay Area. We've taught 28,000 kids K through 12 how to express hip hop and what hip hop culture is. And we throw fat ass hip hop shows centered around justice, like our upcoming Women's Empowerment Summit in March, our Environmental Justice Summit coming up in July at the Presidio Memorial Lawn. So get with us, hiphopforchange.org. Subscribe and donate. We need you, and happy Black History Month.
Thank you so much, Khafre. It was actually I met you because of Dom Jones. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
friends with Dom Jones,
yeah.
who is an amazing, amazing talent.
Wow.
And you had a Women's History Month celebration. And, you know, not only did you have Dom, you introduced me to so many amazing women Bay Area hip hop artists who I still go see all the time, who become my friends, Yanni. I mean, just so many
Yeah,
incredible people. And I want everyone listening, not only hiphopforchange.org, but put in your, write down kpoo.com. Okay, KPOO here in the Fillmore of San Francisco, a Black founded community radio station. Khafre has a show every Sunday between 12 and 3 in the afternoon. And I listen to that show religiously. Okay.
yeah.
I love the music that you play on there. And it is such a service to the community to have their voices shared and to hear those messages. And it is it is 180 degrees diametrically opposed from what you hear on commercial radio. And I'm so grateful for you, Khafre, with that show.
I mean, we have enough of all the standard stereotypes, you know, and we got all that. And all American media is misogyny, violence, and, you know, drugs and whatnot. You know, actually, you're more in danger at a rock and roll concert or a mosh pit than you'd ever be at a hip hop show, especially.
Thank you for pointing that out. I think because of white supremacy, right? White women believe, oh, I'm going to be in danger if I go to a hip hop show. Where does most of the sexual assault happen?
Rock and roll. 75% white men in America. You will probably be safe in the hood. We will walk you home if you need it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Listen,
most,
my rapist was a white high school student. You know,
but
it was a very similar situation as Brett Kavanaugh. That is who we are subjected to violence from. It's
yeah,
not going to come from a black man. Get over that. That is all a big myth and lie designed to keep us divided and fearful of each other.
and violence is usually intracommunal. Period. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I think you know, far be it from me to sit here and mansplain, but you know, I think when it comes to hip hop, seeing people like Moni Love and MC Light and Ladies First when I was growing up, like that was so much more than what we have now. You know what I'm saying? Right now, what do our young brothers get to see? They don't get to hear stuff like that. Right now, we get Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, and they gotta like fight each other. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's what happens when 60.1% of your culture's music is bought by suburban white people. Right. Remember, we got black representation that is being consumed mostly extra communally, and black people have never had enough capital to ever dictate how we look in any representations in the media. But people are so mentally lazy that they just assume that, oh yeah, this is what hip hop must be. You know what I'm saying? And nobody ever asked us. You know what I'm saying? They just grab their babies. That's the problem. And we all know Taco Bell does not, we don't represent Mexican culture, you know, but we don't get mad at Mexican people because Taco Bell is not good food, right? So, right, I understand. Like, but people are getting mad and grabbing their babies because Time, Sony, and Universal only choose to give deals to, you know, I don't know, the most traumatized of our voices, I'll say. And I'll put it to you like that because I want us to humanize these gangster rappers. Audre Lorde said if you're a part of an oppressed community, the very act of speaking your story is resistance, right? Give me 1 second, give me 1 second. You know you. All right. She didn't say you have to have a good story, right? She said you have to speak your story. And to be able to speak is efficacy, right? It's having the microphone. That's why the quote on my website is I want to give the microphone to as many people as I can. You know, I don't tell kids what to say in my class, but I damn for sure teach them that hip hop comes from people like Cab Calloway and Pigmeat Markham, the last poets, and I teach them what hip hop has done to give us a voice and to lift us out of places and to give us kind of like that social political sphere. And then I say, yo, let's rap about something. They're probably not going to start objectifying women, especially not when I have women identified, you know, educators in the classroom. that they're working with, and they're learning from hip hop people what that power is, because our kids just want power. You know what I'm saying? And little suburban white kids, they want the same thing too. And people ask me, do you teach white kids? I'm like, of course I teach kids, man. I teach you. You know what I'm saying? My class might be a little different for suburban white kids, you know what I'm saying? And I might have some different sensitivities to them and what they need to know. But I think in general, in 1991, the number one song on the radio was Fight the Power, Public Enemy. And the audience was still 80% white people, right? And that was great. What do we want white people to do? That's the bridge. Hip hop is that. But now it's a little different because corporations have figured out that it's just easy to sell the lowest common denominator. And they really don't care that that is conflated with what blackness is, and that this criminalization is the justification of our oppression today of black and brown youth. You know what I'm saying? So it's not only imperative for us to take back our depiction in society, right? So we can stop getting all the Breonna Taylors and George Floyds and whatnot and start to be seen as human, just like white folks get to be seen. So when people see a cat like me, I was just at the bank yesterday. It was on my LinkedIn. Y'all can check my LinkedIn page. I was coming out the bank with my daughter, and I'm standing in line in Piedmont, right? You know, Piedmont, and this white guy, you know, everybody stands in line right now at the banks because it's, you know, social distancing. This guy looked at me straight in my eye and just walked right into the bank. And like, I wasn't even a customer, you know what I'm saying? And he walked out. I got the security guard went and walked his butt back out. And he was like, oh, I didn't notice anything. I was like, yeah, I'm just scenery. Like, you know what I'm saying? We just want people to look at people like me and see that, hey, he might be the executive director of the largest hip hop education nonprofit in the nation with $500,000 and 7 bank accounts in here. That dude I don't know what he thought of me, but he probably grabbed his baby too. So if we can control our narratives, then I think white folks might see our depths and might realize it's not about being colorblind, but hey, damn, I love that culture and I love the celebration that they're doing. And man, I really want to support that. They see what we're going through. Secondarily, though, our young little homies should know that hip hop costs them nothing and they can do it and they can have access to it, because there's no culture like hip hop that has this ingrained nugget of self-affirmation that hip hop does. There's nothing that is rooted in a pure celebration of your own identity and your own esteem and worth like hip hop is. And there's not much in the hood that really tells kids their worth shit. So that's why a lot of kids in the hood specifically fall in love with hip hop culture.
You know, I see hip hop for change canvassers here in my neighborhood, standing on the sidewalk and reaching out to white people. And I just love observing these conversations. So with your permission, I would like to role play. Pretend you're a hip hop for change canvasser and I'm Karen Fleshman, white soccer mom, and I've just pulled into Whole Foods, gotten out of my SUV, and I'm headed into Whole Foods. What are you gonna say? We're gonna do 2 takes of this. Okay, so everybody pay attention.
I gotta preface this. So I was the first Black director for Greenpeace, first city coordinator. I ran the Bay Area fundraising department for a while in their 2000 push, and I took that, and that's what Hip Hop for Change does. We do the same kind of thing, but our shirts say "End White Supremacy," and we stand in really white neighborhoods to get allies and bring that money back to the hood. So I'm gonna say my pitch, but this is not necessarily the pitch that everybody Hip Hop for Change says. I'm also the best canvasser I know. I don't pull no punches. And I'm also very, very rusty, Karen. All right? I'm very rusty, so I might stutter. But
that's quite all right.
Yeah, so if you
hit me with your best shot, and I'm gonna role play. I want all the white people watching this show to see how I interact in the first one, and then we'll do a take 2.
Yeah, word. So the first thing you'll hear me say is, yo, talk to a Black man about white people. Give me 2 minutes. Right?
Talk to a Black man about white people?
You know, 2 minutes. Come here, talk to me. My name is Khafre. Have you ever heard of Hip Hop for Change?
You know, I really got to get to my son's soccer game. Like,
everybody's got 2 minutes for Black babies in the hood, right?
2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes. I'll give you 2 minutes.
Biggest problem we got is 3 corporations own 90% of the depiction and the platform that perpetuates what hip hop looks like. It's a 60% white consumer audience, and they're.
But what does that have to do with me?
Well, the problem is that the only thing that you ever see from people like me in media is usually violent representations, right? And so
But
that really,
isn't that who your people are? I mean, what
yeah.
about black on black crime?
Well, unfortunately, do you know the stats on white crime?
White people
On white,
commit crime? What are
that's
you
the
talking
problem.
about?
See, the
No,
problem is
what
with the
I've
media.
never committed a crime. No one I know has ever committed a crime.
Right. So this is interesting, Karen, because the problem here is right at this point, I would probably say, okay, you need to do some research on this, and then I'd be like, just go look up hip hop for change, and maybe you'll find out. You take care though, and go. Because one thing that I do teach to all my coworkers is that we don't get paid enough to really teach white people that white supremacy exists. We really only have a limited amount of emotional labor, and also we only have an 8-hour shift, right? And we also have to make sure that we are as safe as possible. So,
Yes.
there's a lot of people that are that we say they're with the shit, so to speak, in our office, right? They're with the movement. And there's so many of those people that we don't have enough time to talk to all those people. So we definitely don't want to waste time with people who might be hostile, might disengage. But almost if people don't really know it's a thing and it gets too hard to even get our stuff out, then we'll just be like, hey, you need to do a little bit more research before you holler at us. And a lot of the times when we even engage in those conversations, very few of those conversations are usually collaborative or generative. Usually those people are trying to talk to push a point. And so when I'm standing in Danville, or East or Palo Alto, and or Lafayette, I have to really, really take care of me personally as an activist and really spend time with who I choose to spend time with. So if somebody came like that and they stopped listening, I would cut them off. Unless I wanted to have fun with them or toy with them, you know what I'm saying? If I did, I probably might say, hey, you don't even know the stats on white crime. And you're so quick to just believe black on black crime exists because you're not here to learn. You're here to validate what you feel about my people, which is the root of racism, which is why I don't get paid enough to talk to you. So I want you to have a nice day. And I'm going to get back to saving these black and brown babies. You take care now, all right? And I just turn around, I start walking. Hey, come help me fight white supremacy, you. And that makes people so pissed off. I get people that are like, they cannot believe that I would not spend time because they want me to. And they start yelling. I say, no, leave me alone. All right. I got to go work. Excuse me. Somebody call the police. And they know I think I've left so many, usually old white men incensed because I wouldn't cater to them. And I got permits and I'm not scared of the cops or whatnot. I get white men threatening to call the cops on me because I won't talk to them and I have an white supremacy shirt on. But I think that when I get into conversations with people, it's a lot more formative, right? And people are like, wow, and they kind of like get it. When I'm like, yo, 3 corporations own 90% of the depiction of my culture. That's the face they make. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, black people ain't got enough money to dictate how we look in media. And they go, oh, shit, yeah. I'm like, oh, got you. Right. And then I start telling them we taught 28,000 kids K through 12 the history of hip hop and how to express themselves in a positive, introspective way. And we get local artists fingerprinted, TV tested, and employed as educators. We throw fat shows to give paychecks, and these free platforms give access to justice issues and break down barriers between youth and that. And we need all of your money right now to keep this stuff going. So you can donate monthly, anywhere between $8 and $1 million. That keeps us stable. We also take Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, or whatever. But when you donate right now, right here, you're going to make sure that we can hold space in places like this. You're going to make sure that we can stand up and build a platform that's going to show these kids their strongest selves so they can fight the white supremacy they're definitely going to face and stand strong in the face of that. They're going to be the generation to stop this. So can you do $100 a month?
I gladly. Here's my debit card.
Most people don't say yes to $100 a month. When they do, it's really cool. But our average donor, we have about 2,000 donors, which is the reason why we still exist after COVID. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long, hard couple of years, let me tell you. And not only have black art, like black-led orgs funded way less, black arts orgs are forgot about. Mental health orgs are forgot about. A lot of people donated to justice last year. So I'm encouraging people, donate to the things that black people can really count on, like mental health and our own community shit. Like, it's really hard
Thank you.
Like Black Lives Matter got a lot of money, and I want criminal justice reform. I want prison reform and all that, but we can really need to invest in mental health for Black people and arts and creative spaces for Black people that we can own, because we can own that healing. It's not really easy to own fixing the criminal justice system for us. So don't forget about the Black arts this February.
100%. My mentor, Resma Menachem, says the harm that was done to us collectively, and the healing has to be done collectively as well. Yeah. And that culture is such an important part of the healing. I know a lot of our viewers today are from the nonprofit industrial complex. And I'd love for you to speak. What is it like to be a Black man executive director of nonprofits, and what is your message to philanthropy?
All right, so I can give several answers from several different sides of my Blackness, you know what I'm saying? But I think I'd like to just tell you what I've dealt with as a Black man experientially. Like when I started Hip Hop for Change, I didn't even feel comfortable telling people I was the executive director for the first year and a half. Like I literally didn't think that people would support me. I already knew that people didn't support hip hop. Like I'm going in here at a super deficit. Like I'm a Black man. I'm trying to do hip hop with kids. Like Black kids, hip hop scares all whiteness just off the top. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to go in and to teach your babies in your school at that. You know what I'm saying? So I've been trying to figure out how to, validate my story, my position, and And now it's interesting now that I do like consultation for other Black and brown people starting their nonprofits. Like I had this one home and he was like, I'm going for this grant. I'm like, how much did you go for? He's like 10. I'm like, what's the potential grant? He's like, oh, well, it's 50,000, but I thought I shouldn't go for that much because they wouldn't give it to me. And I was like, yo, don't think like that, man. I'm like, look, these white nonprofits go for the gusto. I don't know. They've been taught all that stuff, but man, you think that you're just going to ask for less so it makes it more worth it. Like if you get $10,000 worth of grant funding, you're going to do $10,000 worth of the coolest shit that these Black and brown kids can have happen in their lives, right? If you get $50,000 worth of grant funding, you're going to do $50,000 worth of the coolest, most impactful shit that these kids can have in their lives. You're just going to do it. And you, Black man with dreadlocks that does art and all this stuff, you are more important to be doing that than all these other, white-led nonprofits that are hoping to do the right thing in the hood. You already know that. It's your experience, And so it takes so long for us to even deal with the fear of acceptance, to even come in these spaces to try to then word it, to figure out how these white folks even accept me. And that's so difficult. Oh my God. That is the weight. It's like having an extra person on your shoulders when you walk into a room in a meeting looking for funding, right? And then to be extra and have hip hop and not only have to validate that I can do this work, but also that my culture is worthy of using in this educative space as well. Like, luckily we have organizations like, the Akinadi Foundation, you know what I'm saying?
Latifah Simon.
Yeah, right. And we've set a lot of precedents. So now like Zellerbach Family Foundation, Northern California Grant Makers, we got orgs that are really rocking with us. But it did take so long to set the precedent to even get our feet in the door with, or get our voices to be heard. You know what I'm saying? It took a long time to get to the point where we won the SF Symphony's Ella Magna Newman Award, or the Zellerbach Family Foundation. It's nuts. It's nuts, because I've known exactly what we should be. And I've known that we were going to be this big for 8 years. And it just took me 7.5 years to get anybody to believe me in the real world with any kind of pull. I know you always believe me.
I always believe, because I saw it. I saw it in action.
Yeah, but now,
and I want to encourage any philanthropist on there, fund Black-led organizations. The problem with the nonprofit sector is those with the most power and access to resources are furthest away from the problem. And the folks who are closest to the problem, who have the solution to the problem because they have lived the solution, are furthest away from the power and resources to solve the problem. So be that philanthropist who says, I am closing that gap and I am investing in people who really know what they are doing because they have lived it. And those young people need those role models. Having worked for many years as the development director for white-led organizations, I know exactly what this dynamic is. The white-led organizations have the money to hire someone like me. I'm not cheap, okay?
No, no,
I am very good at what I do.
no.
And then we're able to like glom all these resources, and the folks who are doing the work in the church basement out in the neighborhood
Yeah, for free, next to
for
nothing out
free.
their own pocket.
Exactly.
I'm going to say this, and I don't want to. I'm not saying any of this to play the sob story. I've never made as much money as I made last year. You know what I'm saying? But I still make 50% what an executive director with the size of our organization does. And for a year, I didn't even get paid when I first started this because I just couldn't afford to pay myself. And then for half of this, I made minimum wage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have a CFO right now. I don't have a COO. And I don't have my second office in LA. And it took me a while to realize it's not because of me. It's because Black-led nonprofits have 56% less money on hand and about 70% less savings. And that's also not because we're not hustling real hard. It's just social capital is one thing that white supremacy kills second to our own lives. You know what I'm saying? So it's taken me a long time to meet people that go, that came from Harvard or Stanford or that work at Microsoft or Salesforce. And those gates and those keys to the gates and those gatekeepers are so important. I'll just give you another story. Like, I was talking to somebody in a big company, and I was talking about, like, trying to get in the room with one of their directors, and I kind of got I just kind of got pissed. I got a little angry because I was like, hey, we're trying to get funding. We're trying to get people to, I'm trying to get in the room with this person. Can you help me out? And they were like, yo, well, if you get a lot of people from our company to start supporting you, then maybe this person will notice, right? And I was just like, it just kind of hurt. And it's not like it's their fault or any of my issues is what they're dealing with. So I don't want to like blame this person or anything like that. But I just kind of like let it come out of me. I told him, I was like, look, if you need me to jump through these hoops, I got it. If you need me to prove myself, if you need me to go through anything, I'm down to do it because that's my job, But I already got the entire Black brown community in the Bay Area that have already signed off on this. And I'm just seeing, can you just open the gate and not make me have to find a whole nother community of folks that are privileged to sign off on me? Like, I already got enough. Can you just open the damn gate? Because it's been rough. It's been rough. And I don't say this to like act like, it's a problem. My problems are, I'm blessed to be struggling like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm blessed to be struggling to try to make sure we don't miss a payroll, you know what I'm saying, and have a $70,000 payroll. This is my first business. I'm just in awe. We're doing all this stuff, but it would be beautiful if I could breathe a little easier. It would be beautiful if I could pay my coworkers, my paycheck, if I could pay my coworkers what they deserve. You know what I'm saying? I got the dopest education director in the world, Marlon Richardson. This dude should be making 150 grand right now. I can't afford that. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, I can't afford a CFO. And I just had a $1.3 million budget last year. Now I can handle that budget, but this is not my forte. You know what I'm saying? Like, and and people like you, Karen, cost a whole lot of money. So imagine if I had the extra 44% of money that white organizations have. I could afford you, and I could afford a CFO. I could afford to pay Marlon. I could afford to pay me a little bit more. Maybe I could have a backyard for my little baby girl, you know what I'm saying, in the Bay Area. So this is like real world consequences. So what I would like to tell everybody from philanthropy is that there are foundations that are really doing it right, like the Satterberg Foundation, where they're really giving trust to Black and brown organizations like mine and giving general op support. Like, yo, like, here, send the LOI, and then the grant will be a formality. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, here's some money. You guys have been working your asses off. Here you go. You know what I'm saying? Long-term support too. Like, I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, you like, we don't have to like step affection or like keep proving that we're not gonna like beat up your kids and stuff. Like, I couldn't believe it. And it's always been so refreshing having people like the Akinadi Foundation that'll support our Women's Empowerment Summit or supported us to go on a staff retreat and just breathe. We only had 2 of those, you know what I'm saying, in 9 years. It's wonderful to have these relationships. So to all people working in philanthropy or to people working in big nonprofits, like, give up those money. Don't spend $10,000 on a diversity and inclusion workshop when you could just give that money to some brown people in your community. Like, You know, if you work in the environmental sector, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't do that D&I class. Go find some really cool ass BIPOC nonprofit environmental org that does social justice and see what they can do with that 10 G's with your organization.
Love it.
That's called diversity and inclusion. You know what I'm saying? Include yourself in what brown people are doing. I don't know. I just really want white people to think of themselves as keepers of the resource gate. You know what I'm saying? And every conversation is, how can y'all give up them resources? Like, that's just it. It's like, can you get me in the gate? Can I talk to your executive director? Right? Can I talk? If you run a VC firm, can you get me in front of the angel investors that helped you so they can maybe fund my nonprofit? Like, it doesn't matter if it's social capital or capital. That's what we need from white folks right now.
And
Yeah.
become a monthly donor to Hip Hop for Change. I am, and I love it. I love it. And you can order the t-shirts. I hear you have some socks coming up. It's really exciting.
It's actually, we haven't dropped it yet. But if you go to our website right now, we only have 45 pairs. All right. We got these new Hip Hop for Change and white supremacy socks. The campaign is called 40 Acres and Some Socks. It's $40 for the socks. And my coworkers were like, ain't nobody gonna pay $40 for no damn socks. And I was like, yes, they will, because it's not about the socks, right?
Send in your orders now while you still can. Khafre, I want to thank you. You taught me such an important lesson about my role in the movement. And I don't even know if you remember this, but it was literally, 6 years ago. It was when San Francisco was hosting the Super Bowl. And it was right after SFPD had executed Mario Woods. And there was a big protest. We met in Union Square, and then we were going down to the Embarcadero where Alicia Keys, and there was going to be like this big concert there.
Yeah.
And it was so militarized. Like there were like ninja looking people with like ropes and all the, like I've been protesting my whole life. I had never seen such a militarized protest. And I was honestly scared. I was like, there was so much tension and energy in the air. And I don't know if you remember this, but you and I and two of my close friends were all marching together. And you were really getting up in the face of the cops and like just expressing the full force of your anger. And I was like, it took every ounce of my energy because all I wanted to do was to tell you to calm down, like stop provoking the cops, don't use that language, like you're gonna get us all killed. Like I literally thought we were all gonna die. And then I was like, Karen, it is not your job to tell Black people how to express their anger. Your job is, if these cops do attack Khafre, your job is to throw your body in there because they're not gonna attack you. You are that buffer. You are the reason why Khafre can express himself. And that is your role in this movement, not to tell Khafre what to do. Do you remember this?
I do remember that protest. I will say that I've been in a lot of cops' faces in the last couple of decades. Not so much since my daughter came to be. I got a different goal in mind right now, or different priorities rather. But yeah, I've always been one to put my body on the machine. You know what I'm saying? And one of my favorite things to do at those protests is talk to cops of color, and tell them exactly what I think. And get them to be introspective. I don't even like the words agitator. I like to make good trouble. And number one, I know my rights, and I also know enough to know that I don't have any rights as a Black man. And if you come join me in the front lines, they're gonna take your rights too, and they're gonna treat you just like me. You know what I'm saying? But knowing my rights, I do not mind putting my body on the machine for my people. I'm an activist, you know what I'm saying? I got arrested by Homeland Security repelling off a coal-fired power plant loader in Asheville, North Carolina, because they're putting 50 times the drinkable levels of mercury and arsenic in people's water in there. You know what I'm saying? And it's mostly brown people too. Like, I'm an activist, you know? Yeah, they're gonna learn. And I would tell people at Hip Hop for Change, you know, I can't wait till we can get this thing big enough so I can work with like Ruckus Society or something and start repelling off of Sony and Universal. You know, I cannot wait to get arrested for my movement. I can't wait till we get that big. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's time to make good trouble. You know what I'm saying? And I got big shoulders I'm standing on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna be more scared than Ida B. Wells. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get out of here. Let's stop playing. You know what I'm saying? Like Medgar Evers, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real. I don't know.
Mine is John Brown.
Yeah, right. And I've been beaten up at gunpoint by the SFPD twice in my life before I was 18. You know what I'm saying? This ain't nothing new. I've been fighting my whole life, Karen. Peace in my life has only been the last 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's only been the last 15 years. I grew up in that. I grew up with cops predating on me. So I get a little triggered, you know what I'm saying? But you know, I think one thing that does scare people is when a black man comes with that wish you would attitude, you know what I'm saying? And then that's what I do. That's my job. I dare you because I know my rights. And I have the First Amendment, and I'm gonna tell you, and I wish you would. I wish you would. And that's why I go to protests and people say, oh, well, the cops might arrest you. I wish they would. I'll be on Rachel Maddow tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll get bailed out. There'll be a GoFundMe, Kickstarter campaign. Hip Hop for Change gonna get some money. I'll do a year for my people. I ain't tripping. You know what I'm saying? And I'll come out a year later, and Hip Hop for Change will have more efficacy. I'm not worried about that. You know, the only thing I'm worried now is my daughter will be okay. That's my main priority. But before her, I'm not worried about none of that. Our people are dying right now. Our black women have 3 times the mortality rates in childbirth. Black kids have half the art classes, right? We are fighting for voting rights. And I'm wondering where the women in pussy hats going to be. You know what I'm saying? Where the white women specifically, you know, when Roe versus Wade is going out the door right now. What is going on, white people? Wake up. You know,
Wake up.
God, are you kidding me? Like, I don't even know why there's any space for, you know, to breathe around the Supreme Court right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're talking actively about not having qualified black women for a Supreme Court nomination. They're doing this outwardly, openly, like, white folks. Like, where y'all at? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm waiting for the tiki torches to come out on our side. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's what we need. We need to fight back.
And whatever that is, I just want to caution because, and I say this because a lot of times black people view as violent, but not everybody can come out with the AR-15 or the AK-47. You know, some people need to be able to grow food during the revolution or whatnot. Yes. So whatever your fight is, it is time because we're dying. And I think that our deaths are increasing right now. We got the hate groups that are increasing by factors and factors. So I think right now the most important thing that we can do, and I speak to this in relation to climate change a lot. I think the reason why we haven't stopped climate change is because we let environmental groups talk about polar bears and orangutans instead of centering voices around black and brown people who can't breathe in Hunters Point or lead and Fruitvale or the toxic refinery or the sewage treatment plant that's on the east side of the city where the brown people are when they need to pump it all the way to the west side of the city to release into the ocean. If we're not centering these black and brown people, you know, that's why that this white supremacy is allowed to keep going on because environmental issues are centered in black and brown spaces because they don't care about us. They can sweep us under the rug and get y'all talking about polar bears. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to like be like, let's donate every month to polar bears. But if you knew that they actively were killing black kids who can't even learn the same in Fruitvale and Oakland because of lead and stuff like that, that's a different conversation. What about Flint, Michigan? Like, we're dying right now. You know what I'm saying? So when we look at me yelling at a cop, like, you know, I'm trying to make something happen right now. And I wish a cop would violate my rights. I'm here for that. I'm here for whatever I need to do. I'm here to not get paid all the money I don't get paid to work my fingers to the bone, blood, sweat, and tears to try to create something for my people. The easiest thing I can do is yell in front of the face of a cop. That's easy work. You know, it's hard. creating the largest hip hop education organ in the nation and seeing my coworkers not making enough money. That's hard. That's hard. What's hard was furloughing 35 of my coworkers at the beginning of the pandemic and trying to figure out how the hell to like re-establish all these things so I can keep hip hop artists paid who can't perform in venues anymore. That's yelling at cops. That is cathartic. That's like, you know what I'm saying. That's I love that. So don't worry about all that. But yeah, help us breathe. It's Black History Month. Whatever you can do to help Black people breathe, do it. And I know this show is centered in calling in your cousins, and I need y'all to call in as many of them cousins as you can. But yeah, if you can help us breathe, that'd be great because we are working our butts off. We are working our butts off. So
I also want to thank you way back in, I think it was 2015, Charleston, South Carolina, when Dylan Roof shot up the church. I wrote a post, white people, if you're not part of the problem, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. That post went viral. Yeah. And like you were on there fighting these people down, like left and right. You were so loyal to me and so like just fighting, and I appreciate your loyalty so much, Khafre.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a communal culture. You got my back, I'm gonna have your back. It's like I learned most of my business practices and like toxic group dynamics when I was young. You know what I'm saying? The most important things that I learned is you always show up for your people, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? So on top of that, I don't like seeing people getting dragged. I also don't like seeing people fighting for justice getting dragged. And I also think that it's important not to lose out on those moments to like practice talking to your enemy. I mean, Sun Tzu, Art of War. You know what I'm saying? Number one, I don't see these people as not human, like they don't see me as not human. You know what I'm saying? They're human, right? We got to start from there. All right, they forgive them for they know not what they do, and I might need to in battle chop their heads off, but I don't want to lose my sight of humanity and knowing why they messed up and that they have been lied to. It's just easy, and if you start from that base, it's kind of like playing like a kitten playing with yarn, because these people are idiots, right? Like, first off, they're idiots. That's like the one defining trait of racists, that they're very simple-minded people and very emotional. Like they tend to be like the things that work with them. And maybe even hating women a little bit. I don't know.
And they don't even understand how racism harms them.
But I think that's the big thing, and that's a big problem, because we understand how racism affects people of color. We center conversations around that a lot. But what does it do to white people, right? Oh, people of color being hurt. No, y'all are being evil. Let's talk about y'all being evil, right? Instead of us talking about we the victim. We're getting hurt, and of course. But what does it do to white folks? It's a loss of humanity. It's a loss of their ability to empathize. It's a callousness. It's like a scar over a piece of their heart. We know if part of our heart is all like messed up, it just doesn't beat properly. You know what I'm saying? So what are white people losing out by being racist? I don't know, because I don't feel that way. You know what I'm saying? But if we start from that basis, like, we just got to realize that most of these conversations with these folks, you either like, if you're entering in any conversation to get somebody to agree with you, and that's the outcome that you need, first off, you shouldn't even be talking to them. So what is your goal when talking to this person, right? If you're talking to a white person, they're like, oh, what about black on black crime? They're killing these 83%. What's white on white crime stat? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a good way to find it. I got all these anecdotes and facts and stats to back up my conversation, but what is my goal right here? Usually when I win with white folks, it's because I'm just telling them, hey, this is why I'm doing what I do. This is what I'm worried about. I know you want black kids to have the same amount of art classes, right? Cool. Did you know 50%? Like, black kids have 50% less art classes because of zip code and because of the way that they set up, funding. And I know you don't like that, right? Because most of these racists, they like idealize like the Second Amendment militaristic, like, right? That sounds like some Black Panther shit to me, right? Like, why can't they identify with Fred Hampton, right? Fred Hampton knew that, right? That's why he went and was like, yo, look, you white supremacist Ku Klux Klan people, look, I know y'all crazy crackers, right? And I know y'all think I'm an N-word, but let's just talk, right? You know what I'm saying? I even had a
values alignment.
Yeah,
values alignment.
I even talked to this QAnon dude a couple of weeks ago when I was going to the airport in Tulsa. And by the end, he was like, oh, yeah, I think defunding the police is smart. Why don't anybody speak like that? I'm like, actually, we do speak like this. You just didn't talk to us, QAnon. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's just it. It's like, what is your goal, right? I think when my goal is never to check people or get them to believe me, my goal is to just humanize. And I really learned that through nonviolent communication. It really defeats toxic white men. It's like, you racist, I just want to make sure that our kids have equal education. Well, you're trying to indoctrinate. No, I literally just teach them to rap about whatever they want to. Well, don't you think kids should have art? Well, hip hop's all about violence. And I'm like, actually, Black people don't own any of the media, right? You know that, right? And they're like, what? Yeah. I'm like, hey, if you want to hear what's going on, I can tell you. I'm kind of an authority on this, but whenever you want to stop asking me dumb questions, you let me know because I can fill you in. And I feel like when we come from this place of highness, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like almost like we're the king, we were royalty. Like, this is my corner right here. You are the student when you come on this corner talking to me about my shit. You know what I'm saying? And it took me a long time being an executive director, working with empowered brown people from every intersection to even learn how, others do it so I can have the confidence to show up like I do online. And a lot of that practice came through interacting, on feeds like yours, you know what I'm saying, backing you up and stuff like that. Because I sharpen my rhetorical sword online often. Almost to the point where the white people don't even get on my nerves. It's like, I get it. I see exactly how you're stupid. Let me know if you want to learn some stuff. But yeah, you sound like the typical white person right now. I get it. I used to sound like that before I got patriarchy and really did a lot of work. And I used to say the B words in my raps. I get it. You know what I'm saying? I feel you, so.
Time is flying by. Yeah. If anyone has any questions they want to pose to Khafre, put them in the comments.
Oh, word.
I do want to share that our next edition, we're going to return to our regularly scheduled time. It's going to be Thursday, February 17th at 8 a.m. Pacific. And it's with Garrett Bucks, who is the founder of the Barn Raisers Project. And he is just an amazing white millennial guy who's really doing fantastic work, teaching white people how to organize other white people in our communities, in our schools, in our neighborhoods. So looking forward to that conversation with Garrett. Khafre, if you could wave a magic wand and get white people to either stop doing something or start doing something, what would it be and why?
Give us money. And leave us the fuck alone after that. I would say, look, it's less about what white people, like, that's your own stuff, right? That's white people, that's your own hatred and everything. I can't even bank on trying to get all white people to like be nice in the next 2 centuries, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know if y'all can do that. I'm hoping so. But I think what really works fast for Black people is when we have the resources to do what we know we need to do in our community. Black fathers are the most present in their children's lives, according to a lot of research reports, right? And people don't think that, right? So when Black fathers have equitable like income, they can do more cool stuff because they're present. So we just need to have the money. When directors like me get money, we can do stuff. When the Black women try to start VC firms, they need investors to come in. They shouldn't have to jump through all these hoops. You know what I'm saying? When I'm standing in the line at a bank, you should know that I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? Just give us the resources. And I think that that's the answer. Right now, Black women are leading the swag of our entire nation. Black women are leading our body politic right now. You know what I'm saying? In liberal circles. Like, pay Black women and everything will be fine. You know what I'm saying? You forget about Black men. If you just gave money to Black women, everything will be okay.
Thank you so much, Khafre. How can people follow your work, keep in touch with you?
So I'm very vocal on LinkedIn. You can literally type my name in, and I'm like hood famous now. It's really interesting. So I got a lot of content. I post a lot on LinkedIn. If you want to see me and my daughter, that's the Instagram. I'm on Facebook, kinda. But always just forget me. I'm not even important. Like, hip hop for change is the most empowered thing I've ever seen, and we've got the capability to save our community because hip hop is the driving force of our youth and their political spirit, right? So check hiphopforchange.org out. Check us out on LinkedIn, all the platforms. Please go to our website right now and subscribe to our newsletter. We got our Women's Empowerment Summit coming up. These summits are free all ages, and we need funding for that. Become a monthly donor. Give us money, give other orgs money, and just, yeah, thank y'all for even being here to listen. So
Thank you, Khafre. Bye, everybody.